Speaking of calling big moments, and this was a big moment for a very different situation, but it's crazy that it's more than 3 years ago now. But it's something that I think kind of goes down as a bit of a historic moment, and that is the fact that you were on ESPN calling the Nuggets and Mavericks March 11th, 2020, when the NBA announced that it was going to suspend its season for COVID. How was it being on the call as all of that chaos was kind of like starting to unfold?
That was one of the most surreal nights of my life. It felt like we were in a movie. And I literally remember at the time thinking, and now, of course, the further removed you get, it seems, I don't want to say silly, but it just seems like, wait, really, was it that big a deal? But I
Yeah,
remember at the time thinking of Walter Cronkite. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking, how would Walter Cronkite be handling this breaking news? Because it didn't feel like a basketball broadcast anymore. It felt like something
right.
obviously that was transcendent for all of us in all ways of life. And just going through that, it felt like Doris and I were doing a news broadcast, trying to provide information and comfort simultaneously, while also in some way addressing the action that was happening in front of us that was there for the audience to see. So you couldn't totally ignore, even though it seemed inconsequential at that point and was inconsequential at that point. And it was an eerie energy because the players almost, it seemed like, were tiptoeing around the action. And then all of a sudden, got to these moments late in the game where they realized this is going to be the last basketball we play for a while, and they almost played with more gusto than at the end. So it was really strange. I am so grateful that I had Doris Burke as my partner that night because she is and was just sensational, and I think was the perfect co-pilot to go through that night with. And then Tom Rinaldi was amazing on the sidelines for us, and we had Ian Gruca producing and Jeff Evers directing, and everybody was just, I thought, so dialed in to providing the tone that was needed. So I hope I never have a broadcast like that ever again in my career, but it was a really memorable experience.
Yeah, I think, and if you look back on it, that whole it that time, those couple of days, when everything started getting shut down, are it's even eerie just to look back on it, and especially like you think you at the time you're sitting in an arena with 20,000 people, and I guess like the fear of COVID hadn't quite set in yet in the United States. Meanwhile, like we saw it in other countries, and we're almost like naive to the fact that
Yeah.
it was coming here. But obviously, like there's a comfort level, the fact that you were able to go and sit in an arena with 20,000 people, and for it to go straight from being that to the league is suspended, as opposed to like, we're not gonna eliminate crowds by 50%. We're going to eliminate crowds completely. We're going to not have broadcasters travel. I think it was just such a drastic measure that like it was almost hard to fathom at the time.
That's right. It was such a dramatic leap from anything we had ever experienced here that it was hard to fathom. And kudos to Adam Silver for being aware of what was needed at that time, because I think a lot of people would have sort of tepidly examined how to function, and he knew, like, nope, this is what needs
Right.
to be
And
done
then
right
everybody else
now.
followed suit.
Yep, exactly. And the NBA was in a lot of ways a leader at that moment in our country, and I think that the NBA in a lot of ways continues to be a leader for a lot of us.